Welcome to the Gibson Podcast. Today, we confront a deeply disturbing event, the recent stabbing murder of a Sikh man in Britain, a tragedy that was compounded by the subsequent death of the victim while in police custody. This case has sent ripples of shock and grief through the community and beyond. Our aim today is to move beyond the headlines, to understand the full story, and to critically examine what might have gone wrong in the moments leading up to and following this incident. We will explore the systemic issues within law enforcement interactions with the public, particularly concerning vulnerable individuals and minority communities. This will be a sensitive yet necessary conversation. We extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends of the victim, whose name we will use with respect as we delve into the circumstances surrounding his death. It is crucial that we approach this with empathy, recognizing the profound loss experienced by his loved ones. The questions surrounding his death in custody are pressing and demand thorough investigation. We are not here to assign blame prematurely, but to foster understanding and to identify pathways for improvement in how our institutions serve and protect all members of society. Before we examine the procedural aspects, it's vital to remember that behind the statistics and reports is a human being. While specific details about the victim's personal life must be handled with the utmost sensitivity and respect for privacy, we understand he was a member of the Sikh community, a community that has been deeply affected by this tragedy. Reports indicate he was involved in an incident that led to the stabbing, and tragically, he later passed away after being taken into police custody. Understanding the events leading up to the stabbing is complex, often involving rapidly unfolding and chaotic circumstances. The circumstances of his death in police custody are particularly concerning. Initial reports have been sparse, leaving many questions unanswered. What we do know is that he was taken into custody by law enforcement, and subsequently, his life was lost. This transition from an incident scene to police care is a critical juncture where the state assumes a profound responsibility for an individual's well-being. The Sikh community, understandably, is seeking answers and justice, and their perspective is crucial in understanding the full impact of this event. This is where our deep dive must become rigorously analytical. We need to scrutinize the initial police response to the stabbing itself. Were the correct procedures followed in securing the scene and attending to the victim? More critically, we must examine the protocols and procedures that were in place, or perhaps were not, during the victim's time in police custody. This includes everything from the initial assessment of his condition, to communication between officers, to the decision-making process regarding his care and security. Potential points of failure can be numerous and interconnected. Was there a breakdown in communication? Were officers adequately trained in de-escalation, or in recognizing signs of distress? Was there an appropriate use of force, or was it excessive or misapplied? Crucially, were mental health considerations or medical needs properly assessed and addressed? Official investigations are likely underway, and we will be looking closely at their initial findings, hoping for transparency and a commitment to uncovering the truth, however difficult that may be. Police custody is, by its very nature, a high-stakes environment. It is a place where individuals are deprived of their liberty, and therefore the responsibility of the state to ensure their safety and well-being is paramount. This duty of care extends to every single person held in custody, irrespective of the alleged offense. When someone dies in custody, it is not just a personal tragedy, but a systemic failure that demands profound introspection. We must ask, what are the established safeguards designed to prevent such deaths, and were they, in this case, circumvented or simply inadequate? The UK has a history of concerning deaths in custody. While many officers are dedicated and professional, the system itself can sometimes fail. We've seen cases where individuals with known medical conditions or mental health issues have not received appropriate care, or where oversight mechanisms have been criticized for their effectiveness. Understanding these broader concerns helps us contextualize this specific tragic incident and highlights the urgent need for robust and consistently applied protocols within all detention facilities. Beyond the immediate circumstances, this incident forces us to look at broader systemic issues in law enforcement. How are officers trained to handle complex situations, particularly those involving individuals who may be experiencing mental health crises or who belong to minority groups? De-escalation techniques are critical, but their effectiveness relies on consistent training and application. We must also consider the impact of implicit bias and the importance of cultural competency. Are officers equipped to interact with all communities, including the Sikh community, with understanding and respect? Accountability and transparency are the cornerstones of public trust. When incidents like this occur, the public needs to see that the police force is willing to hold itself accountable, to investigate thoroughly, and to be transparent about the findings. Without this, trust erodes, and the relationship between law enforcement and the communities they serve suffers. This is not just about individual officers, but about the culture and practices of the organizations themselves. So, what can be done to prevent such tragedies in the future? We need concrete suggestions for enhancing police training, with a strong emphasis on de-escalation, crisis intervention, and cultural awareness. This includes better equipping officers to recognize and respond to mental health emergencies. Furthermore, improved oversight mechanisms are essential. Independent bodies must have the authority and resources to conduct thorough and impartial investigations into deaths in custody and allegations of misconduct. Rebuilding trust requires proactive engagement. Police forces need to actively foster better community relations, not just in times of crisis, but on an ongoing basis. This means listening to community concerns, being visible and accessible, and demonstrating a genuine commitment to serving all populations equitably. Transparent reporting of data on use of force, complaints, and custody deaths, along with clear explanations of how these issues are being addressed, is also vital for fostering public confidence. The recent stabbing and subsequent death in police custody serve as a stark reminder of the critical importance of effective, ethical, and accountable policing. We've delved into the victim's story, examined potential failures in procedure and custody care, and discussed the broader systemic issues that impact law enforcement's interactions with the public. The need for continuous improvement, enhanced training, and robust oversight is undeniable. This is not just about preventing future tragedies, but about upholding the fundamental rights and dignity of every individual. Moving forward responsibly means engaging in these difficult conversations, demanding transparency, and advocating for meaningful reform. It means honoring the memory of the victim, not just with words, but with actions that lead to lasting change. We call on our listeners to stay informed, to engage with their communities, and to support initiatives that promote better policing and stronger public trust. Thank you for joining us on the Gibson Podcast. We will continue to follow this story and related issues with the diligence and sensitivity they deserve.